think he has tremendous condo capability. He's got a lot of shoreline.
Thank you, sir.
Are we going to work with countries from South America to coordinate on immigration?
Now, who?
On immigration, general.
This is an executive order. Sorry, sir.
I'm fine with legal immigration. I like it. We need people. And I'm absolutely fine with it. We want to have it. We need it because we're going to have a lot of companies coming in to avoid tariffs. You know, if you don't want tariffs, all you have to do is build your plants in the US. So we're going to have a lot of workers coming in. But we have to have legal immigration.
Do you have a date in mind for when you want to put up the China tariffs?
Which one?
60%?
No. You're talking about which? Say it again.
China tariffs?
Oh, China? Well, as you know, I put on large tariffs on China, and they've really been forced to leave them. And if we didn't leave them, you wouldn't have one steel mill that's open in this country because they were dumping massive amounts of steel. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars from China because they were unable to terminate the tariffs I put on China because it was too much money and the budgets didn't work and other reasons too. No, I mean, we're going to have meetings and calls with President Xi. I spoke to President Xi last week, as you know. Did you know that? I had a very good phone call. NATO has to pay more money. NATO has to pay 5%. We're in the Ukraine war by $200 billion more than NATO. It's ridiculous because it affects them a lot more. We have an ocean in between. And we've spent $200 billion more on Ukraine than NATO has spent. They've got to equalize.
Did you talk to Xi about the Ukraine war?
Yeah.
Because China and Brazil together has a proposal to bring Russia and Ukraine to talk.
That's good. That's good. I'm ready.
When are you going to talk with the Brazilian
How did
president?
Brazil get involved? This is a new one.
When are you going to talk to
Are you from Brazil? Ah,
When are you
that's why they're involved, I guess.
When are you going to talk with the Brazilian president? How do you see your relationship with Latin America and Brazil?
Great, should be great. They need us much more than we need them. We don't need them, they need us. Everybody needs us.
This is a,
That's what he said.
What is that, define that?
Well, you're asking, you pledged in the campaign officially 6%, very much matter as much.
Because of fentanyl.
Right, so that's where.
That's only because of fentanyl, there are other things too.
Our additional.
And a very big thing is the Panama Canal. China controls the Panama Canal. What's that all about? They're not supposed to be good. When Jimmy Carter gave it, which was a terrible mistake, he didn't do it. He didn't give it to China. He gave it to Panama. And China controls the Panama Canal.
So we're trying to.
And we're not going to allow that to happen.
Are they still on the table or is that?
We're not going to allow that to happen.
thank you, sir.
What can we expect of the countries in NATO that spend the least amount of money? Like Spain, France, below the 5%?
Spain is very low. And yet, aren't they a BRICS nation?
What?
They're a BRICS nation, Spain. You know what a BRICS nation is? You'll figure it out. But, and if the BRICS nations want to do that, that's okay, but we're gonna put at least a 100% tariff on the business they do with the United States. You know what the BRICS is, right? You guys know.
Brazil,
You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I'm saying.
Sir,
Spain,
this is an,
So
this
it's
is,
not even a threat. In fact, since I made that statement, Biden said, well, they have us over a barrel. I said, no, we have them over a barrel. And there's no way they're gonna be able to do that.
this is an executive order relating to,
those countries, like Spain.
As a BRICS nation, yes, they'll have 100% tariff if they so much as even think about doing what they thought.
Can you explain how it would
And therefore they'll give it up immediately. So will China give it up.
so this is about reforming the system of hiring in the federal government to ensure that merit is the lodestar of hiring decisions.
That's for the Supreme Court.
Other matters, yes, sir.
This is a big deal, merit. Our country is going to be based on merit again. Can you believe it?
Mr. President, you say we end the Russian Ukraine war
was only half a day. I have another half a day left. We'll see. We want to get it done.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE.
Okay, that's a big one.
Is Elon Musk gonna get a West Wing office?
No, he's getting an office for about 20 people that we're hiring to make sure that these get implemented. We have a problem in this country. You sign an executive order, it doesn't get done for 6 months. As an example, when we allowed the J6 hostages to go out, it might not be approved under the old days for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months. You know, they had a good ruling from the Supreme Court and it's like nothing happened. That ruling was 6 months ago, you know that. And it was like they didn't have a ruling. They've been treated very unfair. The judges have been absolutely brutal. The prosecutors have been brutal. Nobody's ever treated people in this country like that.
Mr. President, are you commuting the sentences of anyone who assaulted a police officer on January 6th?
Well, we're looking at 2 police officers, actually, that Washington police officers who went after an illegal, and things happened and they ended up putting them in jail. They got 5-year jail sentences, you know the case. And we're looking at that in order to give them we gotta give them a break.
But is there clemency in your actions today for
Well,
anyone?
would be
who
a part,
assaulted
that would be a part.
police
The one I'm talking about would be a part.
I guess this is
Should
an
there be punishment for the people who assaulted law enforcement officers that day?
Well, I will say this, they've been in jail for a long time already. I see murderers in this country get 2 years, 1 year, and maybe no time.
This is TGL presented by SoFi. 24 of the best players in the world. No, the universe pitted against each other 3 versus 3.
What they've done to these people is outrageous. There's rarely been anything like it in history, in the history of our country. And even people that were aggressive, and in many cases, I believe they happen to be outside agitators, but you know, what do I know? But I think they were outside agitators. There were outside agitators involved. And obviously the FBI was involved because Ray admitted the FBI was involved. Didn't he say 23 people indirectly or directly were involved? And it was then 26. That's a lot of people. Now we have, we gotta take care of that. These people have been treated so badly. It's never happened before. What happened in Seattle where they took over a big portion of the city? What happened in Portland where they burn down the city every day and people die? Nothing happened to anybody. But they go after these people violently. I mean, they're still going after brand new people. They found somebody else with a picture. There's never been anything like this. And you know, it's almost 100%. Think of this, almost 100% of the people are convicted. 100%. It's Washington, D.C. People go into a trial and they say, oh, I have a wonderful lawyer and I didn't do anything wrong. And they end up in shackles almost immediately and jail. No, I can let it go.
About doing that, you have to interest in buying it, but is there any other option that would satisfy you?
About what?
Greenland, instead of buying it?
Finland?
Greenland.
Oh, Greenland. Greenland is a wonderful place. We need it for international security. And I'm sure that Denmark will come along. I think it's costing them a lot of money to maintain it, to keep it. The people of Greenland are not happy with Denmark, as you know. I think they're happy with us. We had representatives, my son had representatives, went up there 2 weeks ago, and they're like us. So we'll see what happens. But Greenland is necessary, not for us, it's necessary for international security. You have Russian boats all over the place, you have China boats all over the place, warships. And they can't maintain it.
Well, I want to be talking to Vladimir Putin.
Who? I'll be meeting with President Putin. I don't know, I can't, it's being set up. So first foreign trip typically has been with UK. But I did it with Saudi Arabia last time because they agreed to buy $450 million worth of our product. I said, I'll do it, but you have to buy American product, and they agreed to do that. They bought 450 billion. It was the least reported story I've ever been involved in.
Now, or are you going to go now?
Well, I don't know. If Saudi Arabia wanted to buy another 450 or 500, we'll up it for all the inflation.
Mr. President, you say you were going
I think
to
I
end
probably
the war first day. How do you plan to end the Ukraine war?
Well, we're gonna try and get it done as quickly as possible.
Do you want to push Israel and Saudi
It should have
Arabia?
never started. You know, the war with Ukraine and Russia should have never started. It would have never started if I were president.
Will you push Israel and Saudi Arabia to normalize relations?
I don't think I have to push it. I think it's gonna happen, but maybe not quite yet, but it'll end up being in the Accords, the Abraham Accords.
President Trump,
I think Saudi Arabia will end up being in the Abraham Accords.
This year?
Could be, but, you know, soon, not a very long way. Ooh, look at that, it says TikTok.
President
My,
Trump,
my, what is that all about?
First, we have Alaska, sir. This is an executive order relating to unleashing Alaska's potential as an energy reservoir for the entire nation.
And what about Anwar?
I believe that would be included in aspects of the
So
order.
we're opening up Anwar.
So,
on the
Mayor,
TikTok piece, President Trump, you and your members of your team now used to warn about the dangers of TikTok spying on Americans. What changed that you're not worried about that anymore?
Well, it depends on the deal. I mean, I may not do the deal or I may do the deal. TikTok is worthless. Worthless. If I don't approve it, it has to close. I learned that from the people that own it. If I don't do the deal, it's worthless, worth nothing. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion, $1 trillion. So if I do the deal I'm talking about doing it for the United States. If I do the deal for the United States, then I think we should get half.
The TikTok
In other words,
So y'all see TikTok is only a money move just to get the United States part of the revenue, you know. So in order for the TikTok to stay in the United States, because it's clearly American don't own TikTok. So what they was gonna ban it, you see how this just happened right before he got in the office. So what they was doing was it's a ban. You see it's on the floor right now. So Trump got it going right now. So if you go they got it whereas if TikTok gonna stay in America, it's up to Trump right now. You know what I'm saying? Everything up to Trump. So Trump not trying to let nothing, like nobody that's outside of America keep making these trillions and trillions of dollars off American people. So you heard what he just said. If he don't make the deal, then TikTok was worthless. So if he do make the deal, then TikTok is gonna be worth about $1 trillion. You know what I'm saying? So he won't at least probably 50% or 40%. So you see how it's gonna go. It's a money move.
wait, I think the US should be entitled to get half of TikTok. And congratulations, TikTok has a good partner. And that would be worth, could be $500 billion or something. It's crazy, the number.
He say make United States
But it's
partnership
worthless. If
TikTok.
the president doesn't sign, then it's worthless. If the president does sign, it's worth maybe $1 trillion. So I think, like a joint venture, I think we would have a joint venture with the people from TikTok. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's one of many ideas I've
The
had.
CEO is now, did he say that he's open to that idea?
Who?
The CEO of TikTok is around.
Oh, I think he'd probably like it. Because he's got nothing. I mean, they really have nothing. It's passed in Congress. It gives the president a right to make a deal or to close it. And we have 90 days to make that decision. But I could see making a deal where the US gets 50% of TikTok, polices it a little bit, a lot,
50 or 40%.
depends on that. But remember, they make telephones in China, they make all sorts of things in China. Nobody ever complains about that. Here they're complaining about this. There's so many different products made in China, nobody ever complained about it. The only one they complain about is TikTok. And TikTok is largely young people. I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok that I didn't have originally, but I went on TikTok and I won young people up by 36%, Peter. And Republicans typically don't do too well with young people, but it's a different Republican Party.
Would the US government buy a portion of TikTok then, or how would it get that 50%?
No, you take 50% of TikTok for the approval, that TikTok can continue in business. And they'd have a great partner, the US would be their partner. But the US essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would it be a private sector owner as
Could
well?
be, yeah, could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok
You wanted to block TikTok, why did you change your mind?
because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's gonna get information about young kids out of it, I think, to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But you know, when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
Sir, if you don't come in 90 days, will you shut it down?
Does Biden ever do news conferences like this? How many news conferences, Peter, has he done like this?
Like this?
None.
0.
And it would be zero for the next infinity. For infinity, it would be zero.
President, when you guys talk to President Musk, implement the executive orders,
No. Elon, no. Elon's very busy sending rocket ships up to various places with lots of satellites on them.
What is your reaction to the confirmation of Marco Rubio, what does it mean for Latin America?
Which one?
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio. He said Marco. Yeah, I think he's great. I think Marco's doing a fantastic job. I think he's gonna get a lot of votes. I think he's gonna be at 90% or something. I mean, I'm hearing very good. People know him. They know him in the Senate. They know he's good. He's doing a good job. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. He's got some very strong ideas.
Do y'all feel like the United States deserve 50% of TikTok revenue? Let me see y'all comment down in the comment section. I know y'all probably in different countries and everything, but still, just let me see you comment at the bottom and tell me is Donald Trump wrong for doing that. But my personal opinion, I think it's fair.
Marco.
You signed
President,
the
President,
TikTok,
President.
right? Did you sign the TikTok offers?
Yeah.
Yes, that was just.
President Marco Rubio's ideas is
Just on.
How many
still
did you sign?
changing Venezuela, changing power. Are you still committed with Maduro leaving power in
Well,
Venezuela?
we're gonna find out about that too, because we're gonna probably stop buying oil from Venezuela. We don't need their oil.
Another embargo like the first term?
Well, could be, but we don't wanna buy, we don't have to buy their oil. We have plenty of oil for ourselves, so
President Trump,
that'll change Venezuela quite a bit.
President Trump, there was a lot of concern about this during the campaign. A question that only works today. Are you a dictator on day one?
No. I can't imagine even being called that. No, I believe in the sanctity of the vote. The Democrats didn't because they cheated like dogs, but I believe in the sanctity, and this was too big to rig. This last election was just too big to rig. But,
Believe in climate
really
change.
the opposite.
When do you plan to speak to President Putin?
Could be very soon.
And you talked a bit about Ukraine and Russia, but how long do you think it would take to end that conflict? And
I have to speak to President Putin. We're gonna have to find out. He can't be thrilled. He's not doing so well. I mean, he's grinding it out, but most people thought that war would have been over in about 1 week. And now you're into 3 years, right? So he can't be thrilled. It's not making him look very good. Now, eventually, you know, I mean, it's a big machine, so things will happen, but I think it'd be very well off to end that war. We have numbers that almost 1 million Russian soldiers have been killed. About 700,000 Ukrainian soldiers are killed. Russia's bigger, they have more soldiers to lose. But that's no way to run a country.
What did your TikTok order do today?
Just gave me the right to sell it or close it. Essentially with TikTok, I have the right to either sell it or close it. And we'll make that determination. And we may have to get an approval from China too, I'm not sure. But I'm sure they'll approve it. And if they don't approve it, it would be somewhat of a hostile act. But it's good for China if it gets approved.
President, you're not guaranteeing that TikTok will be around after 90 days from today.
No, but it could very well be. It makes sense for it to be, because it's got tremendous value. But if we create the value by approving, in other words, that approval gives a tremendous value. If that's the case, then we should be entitled to 50% as a country. You understand? You haven't heard that one before, right? That's called a joint venture. And nobody ever thought that way.
If you're a partner.
Well, I don't know, I think you have a lot of people that would be interested in TikTok with the United States as a partner.
Mr. President, what was it like walking into the Oval Office this evening?
Oh, what a great
So that
feeling.
was a money move.
One of the better feelings I've ever had.
Do you like this town better now than?
So that's why Elon Musk probably.
Well, we're
bought
very
Facebook.
experienced now.
See what I'm saying?
You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've
Jeff
dealt with
Bezos got out of
some
that
very
quick.
good people. I've dealt with some
Oh,
very
Jeff
bad
Bezos.
people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones are. Don't forget,
Exactly.
I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months and getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice by comparison.
You said you plan to speak with President Putin soon. What about President Zelensky and what's your message?
Yeah, I would, but he's told me he wants to make a deal. Zelensky wants to make a deal. I don't know if Putin does, why not? He should make a deal. I think he's destroying Russia by not making a deal. I think Russia's gonna be in big trouble. You take a look at their economy, you take a look at the inflation in Russia. So I would hope, I would get along with him great, and, I would hope he wants to make a deal.
Mr. President, are you keeping US sanctions on Russia until he makes a deal?
Well, sanctions or tariffs, I think the word tariff is much better because it keeps your dollar stronger. I think tariffs are more effective. I mean, I use sanctions on Iran. Iran was broke. When I left office, Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, none. They were flat broke. And October 7th would have never happened. And I think you all know that. It would have never happened. They had no money. Now they're rich, but they're weakened in a different way. I would say that the one attack by Israel really set them back. It really set them back. The Pagers and others. The attack on air defense was a bad attack.
What are you signing now? It's an executive order relating to reforms to the federal workforce, including to the senior executive service.
We're getting rid of all of the cancer. I call it cancer. The cancer caused by the Biden administration.
How confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 2 phases of the deal?
I'm not confident. It's not our war, it's their war, but I'm not confident. But I think they're very weakened on the other side.
You support the ceasefire?
Gaza, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place it's really got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
I might. Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead, by the way. Most of them are dead. But they didn't exactly run it well. Run viciously and badly. You can't have that.
Mr. President, on TikTok, sir, you pause any decision on Chinese tariffs until you know what the resolution on TikTok will be? Are those things connected?
If China didn't approve it, we could put tariffs on China. Don't forget, China charges us tariffs and we charge them very little, except for what I did. I put a lot of, took in hundreds of billions of dollars. But until I came along, China never paid 10 cents to this country. They ripped us off and they never paid anything. But like if we wanted to make a deal with TikTok and it was a good deal and China wouldn't approve it, then I think ultimately they'd approve it because we'd put tariffs on China. Maybe. I'm not saying I would, but you certainly could do that. And if we said, well, if you're not gonna approve it, then that's a certain hostility and we'll put tariffs of 25, 30, 40, 50%, even 100%. And if we did that, I think they'd approve it.
President Trump, you've seen the other living presidents a couple times in the last few months. If you ever had to call on one of them for advice about anything that's going on, which one would you call?
It's interesting. Well, I thought Bill Clinton was a very good politician. I don't think he was used properly. I think they disrespected him. When Hillary was running, he came back and he said, you know, you better get up to Michigan and Wisconsin. You remember that meeting. Every house has a Trump sign on it. And they all laughed at him because the Republicans hadn't won Michigan or Wisconsin for decades, long time. And they all laughed at Bill Clinton. Like, the hell does he know? And he turned out to be right because I won both of them. And then we just won both in this election too. We won Wisconsin and Michigan and every other swing state. We won all the swing states, all 7. They talked about 7 swing states. We won them all. So, but Bill Clinton he had a great political sense, I think.
You looked like you were having a good conversation with President Obama at President
I was. And you'd like to know what? Everybody wants to know. I wouldn't want to know, but we were having some crazy conversations. Why do you ask me a question like that? I don't think you want to know. You might not.
Tell us what you just said.
You might be insulted.
It's an executive order relating to holding former government officials accountable for unlawful disclosure of sensitive information. This next one, sir, is a declaration of a national energy emergency.
So you also.
That's a big one. You know, that allows you to, that means you can do whatever you have to do to get out of that problem. And we do have that kind of an emergency.
President Trump, at some point, will you use your powers of presidency to tell Americans who are concerned about drones?
Yeah, oh, good.
You know,
Yeah, I will.
Can you tell us now?
In fact, I'd like to know because I just got here.
What do you think?
I just came here. I've been here for what, 15 minutes now.
Do people listening, because this is going out loud?
And I gotta read this letter too, because of you, I found this letter.
I can read it for you.
It's interesting. Yeah, I know you would. Your father would too.
But is it anything you drones? Is there anything that you need to be worried
No,
about?
I think it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of?
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay? Yeah, why don't we find out immediately? I can't imagine it's an enemy or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting.
And with the events today and yesterday, was everything moved inside just for cold weather, or was there some kind of security?
No security. Because they had everything shut down to drones. You can shut that down pretty easily if you're sophisticated. They're very sophisticated, these people. No, it was just cold weather. And we made a good move because, first of all, I thought it was incredible in the Capitol today. You know why I liked it? Because I got great reviews on that speech. I got great reviews. Can you believe it? They actually were fair.
This is
Maybe the fake news is changing.
unleashing energy
Yeah,
production.
unleashing energy production. But I thought it was, I think having it in the Capitol is great. Obviously, you can take care of the people you have to take care of. The city was booming. And if we would have done it outside, people would have been hurt because it was really cold. It was like, looked sunny. But when you stood outside for 10 minutes, people were running back in. It was really cold and really windy. The wind brings it down a lot. So we made the right decision. You couldn't have stayed, I don't think you could have had it out. You know how cold it was today. It was, people went out for a little while just to test it. They couldn't stay out more than 10 minutes. They all came back in. So we would have had a disaster if we did that, and people would have been hurt.
The unlawful disclosure, is that related to 105?
Which one?
The one on unlawful disclosures by federal officials, is that related?
No, I think it's just more general than that. Hunter Biden. I was surprised that President Biden would go and pardon his whole family, because that makes him look very guilty. I could have pardoned my family. I could have pardoned myself, my family. I said, if I do that, it's gonna make me look very guilty. I don't think I'd be sitting here, frankly. If I did that, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now, because I would have shown that you're guilty. But by pardoning his brother or brothers, by pardoning all of those people that he pardoned, by pardoning J6, the Unselect Committee, they destroyed all of the documents. They deleted all of the information. There's no information. And a lot of the information pertains to Nancy Pelosi, because she was given 100, I mean, you know this, it's on tape with her daughter. Nancy Pelosi was responsible for not taking advantage of 10,000 soldiers or 1,000. You wouldn't have you could have used 400. It was a relatively small crowd. It wasn't the crowd that was at the mall, it was a small crowd. So I was a little bit surprised that he did it, because it makes him look guilty. I mean, he's gonna have to live with it. Now, with that being said, it's unbelievable precedent it creates for a president. But the precedent is unbelievable. Now maybe every president that leaves office, they're gonna pardon every person they ever met, so they don't have some lunatic like deranged Jack Smith. He's a total lunatic, by the way. Not a smart guy, he's a dummy. But we beat the hell out of him. And I helped my reputation.
Do you have to do the same thing at the end of this term?
Well, I guess now I have precedent to do it. I wouldn't want to do that. No, I think it makes you look very guilty. I think it makes Biden look very bad, very weak, and very guilty. And I mean, he pardoned everybody. How about this J6 committee? Why is he pardoning them? The reason is because if you delete and destroy documentation, everything, they have nothing, because they were guilty as hell. They rigged it. It was a rigged deal. And when you do that, they look very bad, but I was a little surprised he did it. Liz Cheney, I mean, she's a lunatic. And she lost by the greatest margin in the history of a politician running for Congress, like 40 points. The reason it was the greatest is because anybody losing that badly is gonna drop out. But she's a nut job, she doesn't drop out, she just keeps chugging forward. And she lost by almost 40 points. That's the biggest number anybody's ever lost by. But why would Biden do that? He pardoned her and pardoned everybody. The reason is that they destroyed documents. And if you're even in a civil case, which this wouldn't be, I mean, people go to jail for a long time for doing that. What's this one?
That's unleashing American energy, sir. It relates to using permitting processes and other regulatory systems to ensure that we can produce energy efficiently to drive the American economy forward.
President Trump, looking around the office, we noticed some changes from the way the Biden had it set up. Can you confirm that you have added back the Italian cooling fund?
I think this, first of all, I just got here. So my people came in, they have extraordinary decorator sense, right? We just see some of the pictures. That's a good one. I could live with him. I could live with George Washington, I can tell you. I can live with Thomas Jefferson. I can live with most of them. They took a very safe route. They don't have any bad ones up there.
Withdrawing from
What is this one?
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir.
Ooh, that's a big one. So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China with 1.4 billion people. We have 350, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me. So that wasn't the reason, but I dropped out. They offered me to come back for 39 million. In theory, it should be less than that, but And when Biden came back, they came back for 500 million. He knew that you could have come back for 39 million. They wanted us back so badly, so we'll see what happens.
Mr. President,
Pretty sad to think of it. China pays 39 million and we pay 500 million. And China's a bigger country.
President, you spoke about inflation